The WNBA just revealed something shocking that has Brittney Griner in a panic. The league eventually said that all players will be required to undergo gender testing following years of rumors and conjecture. For Griner, who is already facing intense criticism for her divisive remarks regarding Caitlin Clark, the timing couldn't be worse. Do you believe that the WNBA's new mandatory gender testing policy is long overdue? Or is this just another attempt to stir up controversy in women's basketball?
Brittney Griner is, in fact, a man. One of the videos that give us cause to say that is this video. It is from her Instagram stories from years and years ago. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittney posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a female chest, we have to take this down. Oftentimes, if breast cancer runs in a family, women will preemptively get like double mastectomies. And there are some great surgeons out there, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any scars on Brittney's chest that would be indicative of a double mastectomy or top surgery for gender transition.
Well, the chickens have finally come home to roost for Brittney Griner just when she thought the drama from that viral video calling Caitlin Clark derogatory names was starting to die down. The WNBA decides to drop the ultimate reality check mandatory gender testing for all players. And let me tell you, the timing of this announcement is absolutely perfect or terrible, depending on your perspective. The league tried to frame this as a routine policy update, but nobody's buying that nonsense. This has Griner's fingerprints all over it, and she knows it. For years, there have been whispers, speculation, and outright questions about whether certain players in the WNBA are actually biologically female. The league has been dancing around this issue like it's radioactive, but apparently they can't ignore it anymore. The official statement from the WNBA was about as generic as you'd expect. They talked about maintaining competitive integrity and ensuring fair play for all athletes, but we all know what this is really about. The league is finally acknowledging what everyone with functioning eyeballs has been saying for years, but some things just don't add up when it comes to certain players.
Get into that is really hard and really scary. You're about to be a mom. How is that feeling? Pops. Oh, let me get it together. About to be a pops. Please tell me how exciting that is for you and what you're looking forward to most.
I'm super excited. Well, I mean, I guess I'll just drop it. He's here. So he's here. Yes. 7/8/24.
Since joining the league, Brittney Griner has been at the center of these conversations because of her physical characteristics, voice, and general appearance. The mainstream sports media has been too afraid to address these concerns, but now that the WNBA is requiring testing, those questions are set to receive some very intriguing responses. According to reports, the policy mandates that all players undergo extensive hormonal and chromosome testing prior to each season. This isn't just a simple drug test. We're talking about a thorough biological analysis that will definitively determine whether players meet the league's requirements for female competition. The results will be reviewed by independent medical experts, and any player who doesn't meet the standards will be banned from participating. Of course, the usual suspects in the media are already complaining about this policy, calling it discriminatory, intrusive, and transphobic. But the truth is that women's sports are meant to be for women. The timing of this announcement is especially cruel for Griner because she's already dealing with the fallout from that viral video in which she appeared to call Caitlin Clark a racial slur. That incident revealed Griner's true character and expressed exactly how she feels about the player who is single-handedly saving the WNBA from irrelevance. Now, she's facing the possibility that her entire career could be called into question.
Saw this and was like, a lady.
Let's be truthful about the situation we're in. These are not personal insults. Griner is 6 feet 9 inches, has a deep voice that would make Barry White envious, and has physical characteristics that are much more in line with male biology than feminine nature. These are obvious realities that have been disregarded for far too long. The Instagram video of Griner without a shirt that went viral years ago aroused even more concerns. Griner's athletic performance in comparison to other WNBA players may be the most damning evidence, as her physical advantages, unquestionably superior reach, strength, and athletic ability that far exceed what you'd expect from a biological female, have translated into professional success that might not have been possible if Griner had been competing against biological males. The fact that Instagram's AI detection system failed to flag the content as inappropriate female nudity suggests that even artificial intelligence algorithms couldn't identify Griner as biologically female. When machines are confused about your gender, it's likely a sign that humans should be asking questions as well. There is now too much conjecture regarding Griner's origins to ignore. Some people think she may be intersex, which would still give her a substantial biological edge over ordinary female competitors. Others speculate that Griner may have an unfair advantage due to continuing hormone medication. These questions will ultimately be addressed by the required assessment. Griner's relationships and personal life are what further complicate this scenario. This isn't about sexual orientation. Many biological women are gay, but rather about underlying biological and behavioral traits that don't fit with typical female development. Griner's social and romantic presentation has always been more in line with male behavioral patterns than female ones. The WNBA's decision to impose mandatory testing was likely not made lightly. They are currently facing mounting pressure from sponsors, players, and fans who want to ensure that the competition is fair. The league has already been dealing with issues of credibility, and it is now impossible to ignore the policy. Additionally, it comes at a time when women's sports are seeing historically high growth thanks to real female athletes like Caitlin Clark. The introduction of this testing policy will be exciting to watch. Players who have nothing to hide should welcome the opportunity to silence critics and prove their eligibility, but players who might be concerned about the results will likely fight the policy through legal channels and media campaigns. Clark's success has attracted millions of new fans to women's basketball, and these fans expect to see authentic female competition. If doubts about player eligibility undermine that authenticity, it could destroy everything Clark has built. The media coverage of this story has been predictably biased, and the legal challenges are already beginning to emerge. Several advocacy groups are threatening lawsuits alleging that the book testing violates privacy rights and discriminates against certain populations. However, these arguments fall apart when you consider that women's sports exist specifically to provide fair competition for biological females. If you can't prove you meet that basic requirement, you don't belong in the league. The public has been ahead of the institutions on this issue for years, and now the WNBA is finally catching up. The international implications of this policy are also significant, and other women's sports leagues around the world are watching to see how the WNBA handles this situation. However, fans are not buying the media spin. Social media is exploding with support for the testing policy, and many people are specifically calling out Griner as someone who needs to be thoroughly investigated. Mainstream sports outlets are focusing on the controversy and discrimination rather than the fundamental fairness issues at stake. If the policy is effective in preserving competitive integrity, it may serve as a template for other businesses with related problems. The WNBA strategy could serve as a model for how to handle these issues in a way that safeguards female athletes while upholding fairness and transparency. For Griner in particular, this policy poses an existential threat to her career and legacy. The Olympics and other international competitions have been struggling with gender eligibility issues for years. All of her WNBA accomplishments, including championships, records, and accolades, could be questioned if the testing shows that she doesn't meet the biological requirements for female competition. In retrospect, the psychological strain on Griner must be immense. She is already experiencing backlash from the public for her remarks regarding Caitlin Clark, and now she is confronting the prospect that her entire professional identity may be called into question. The strain of this circumstance may account for some of her recent provocative actions and remarks. Since the majority of WNBA players are biological women who have dedicated their lives to competing at the highest level, it is likely that the other players are also closely monitoring this situation. If some of their rivals have been using unfair biological advantages, those players should be held accountable and given answers. This approach could have significant financial repercussions if testing shows that some well-known athletes don't fit the eligibility requirements. Although the league may experience lawsuits, sponsor withdrawals, and fan outrage, these short-term risks are likely outweighed by the long-term advantages of maintaining competitive integrity. Additionally, the policy makes the WNBA's priorities very evident. The league is finally standing up for competitive fairness after years of criticism for prioritizing politics over sports. This could help rebuild credibility and trust with supporters who have been turned off by earlier rulings. The league may face legal challenges if they go too rapidly, which could delay or derail the process. If they move too slowly, critics may accuse them of giving specific players time to prepare or contest the policy. The testing implementation timeframe will be critical. The procedure of independent medical review will be very crucial. The WNBA must guarantee that the testing is carried out by certified experts who are not subject to charges of partiality or bias. For women's basketball fans, the integrity of the testing procedure will be the only factor determining the result's trustworthiness. This measure is a long overdue step in the direction of fair competition. If the WNBA is successful in enforcing mandatory gender testing, other leagues may follow suit, which could result in more significant changes to how women's sports handle gender eligibility questions at all levels of competition. The sport boasts amazing athletes who deserve to compete on an even playing field without worries about their opponents' biological advantages undermining the integrity of the game. The testing's scientific components will be intriguing to observe, as contemporary medical technology can offer remarkably comprehensive details regarding a person's biological sex hormone levels and genetic composition. There should be no space for disagreement or conjecture regarding player eligibility based on the results. Ultimately, the facts uncovered by the tests will speak louder than any spin or advocacy efforts for Brittney Griner, despite the fierce public relations struggle around this policy. Advocates on both sides will attempt to frame the narrative in ways that support their perspectives. The WNBA's decision to enact this policy demonstrates that even progressive sports organizations eventually have to deal with biological reality. You can ignore science and facts for a while, but eventually competitive integrity becomes more important than political correctness. This is the moment of truth that many people have been waiting for. All the rumors, questions, and controversy could finally be resolved through objective scientific testing. The results will either vindicate her or expose potential issues that have been hidden for years. The WNBA is only one front in a larger battle over whether biological reality matters in competitive athletics. The outcome of this policy implementation will have far-reaching implications beyond women's basketball. It may affect how other sports leagues, educational institutions, and athletic organizations handle similar situations in the future. This situation perfectly captures the larger cultural tensions surrounding gender sports and fairness that are playing out throughout society. The WNBA's policy requiring gender testing has the results of Brittney Griner's hot seat could completely alter our understanding of women's basketball. This is the long-awaited moment of accountability. What do you think these tests will show? Please share your predictions below, click like, and subscribe for more thrilling sports news. Everybody,